Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Coach McVay Show, presented by Microsoft Surface. I'm JB Long with my friend D'Marco Farr and the head coach of your Los Angeles Rams, Sean McVay. Coming back from Chicago, I feel like the word I've heard most in the last 24 hours is finishing, whether it's a rep or a drive or a game. That seems to be where the Rams need to go next. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go win games, you got to be able to take them, and we had plenty of chances. And you don't take away credit that Chicago deserves, but for us to have control of the game like we did early on, defense started off doing the things that we had really emphasized, bringing that execution to life. Offensively, you go down the field on the first two drives and you stall out in the fringe of the red zone area, and it's 6-0. And then on the start of your third drive, you give a turnover away and deep in territory, and they convert it into a touchdown because of a penalty that we gave them to put the ball on the one, and then you're sitting there at 7-6. But the thing I'm encouraged about is that a lot of the things that we didn't do were things that we're capable of doing in terms of the execution, the techniques, the fundamentals, the ability to play the plays and execute the calls the way that we're capable of on a consistent basis. But the enemy has to say, and we didn't do the things that were required to win the football game, and that's why we're sitting where we're at.
What's more maddening to you? I mean, you want the win, you lost, but is it we are better than that, or we just didn't get the win on Sunday?
I think all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, what's maddening is that, and it's really not even the win. It's we didn't play like we're capable of, and that to me is like I have no problem if it's like, all right, hey, this is the NFL, is back and forth. You're playing as well as you can. It's a high caliber opportunity and an event on both sides, and you just come up short. But again, we didn't do the things that we're capable of. I'm more worried about what we're capable of doing, and I thought we had an opportunity to build on some momentum, and we missed a chance on that. But you got another week. We can't do anything about what occurred yesterday now other than address it, acknowledge it, and make sure that we fix the things that will be applicable moving forward, for the rest of the year.
We've talked on this show before about the wisdom that a coach needs to decipher between when it's time to hold someone to account and to make a change versus staying the course and letting key people learn their roles on the job. Where are you at this stage of the season, a month in, with respect to some of those choices?
Well, a lot of it, you have to ask yourself, do you have we've had so many injuries, so that has a factor in it too, in terms of, what are the numbers, what are the availabilities of some of those spots. But, when you have 4 games, there's an element of you have to acknowledge, our decision, our responsibility and our role is to always do what is best for this football team. And if there's a better option than what's currently being displayed, then that's what's going to be reflected moving forward, if that's what we think. Now you want to make sure that you have the appropriate amount of information to make those decisions, and what are the contingency plans if there is one in place. But that's something that we'll always evaluate.
You're moving the ball, like you said. The turnover right before half, the missed field goal. I mean, but you were moving the rock. You were having success and just couldn't finish off those drives.
Yeah. And that's what's frustrating, is because there were a lot of positives, and I thought even when we were in the midst of moving the ball, we left some yards out there relative to just finishing or activating a technique to be able to create. And everybody had their hand in it. Myself, coaches, players, different positions, and if you're going to be a consistent offensive operation that executes at a high level, you need guys to consistently do what they're supposed to do. It's about execution. It's about having that edge, bringing the right energy. There's going to be a bunch of opportunities that you do have to respond when things don't go the way that you want, but when it's created by things that we can't control, or lack of a technique, or lack of an understanding in terms of what we're supposed to do on something that I think we're capable of doing, those are the ones that are frustrating.
Like when you say I have to be better, like I should have told him that, or I need to get in his ass a little bit more, or just all the above.
Yeah, I think it's, our job is to provide the clarity, but then also making sure that with the decisions that we make on game day, are we putting guys into positions to succeed to the best of their ability? There were some moments where, I can definitely say, you want to be better. And I'm always going to try to look at myself. If I ask accountability of our players, you better make sure that you're doing it yourself. And you better be honest about it, though, and it can't be just results oriented. It has to be process oriented, because there are a lot of times where Players will overcome a bad call, but it worked out. And nobody talks about that stuff, but you have to acknowledge it. Or if it doesn't work out, but it maybe was something that we wanted to do, well, you talk about that behind closed doors and you acknowledge, hey, here's why we're doing it. Here's the intent. We got to be able to execute that. And so it's a give and take. You just got to be honest, but it is about the communication and then ultimately providing the solutions with the techniques and the fundamentals that apply to trying to execute at the best level.
You're talking about setting players up for success, but I feel like I've heard you reference a couple of times, maybe the offense isn't setting the defense up for success, like knowing where this group is and where they're trying to go. You can put them in some better game situation positions so that we can get a sense of what they're capable of.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's as simple as, capitalizing on the momentum that they built early on, and by finishing that where it's not still a one possession game when you feel like you've had control of it. But to Chicago's credit, that was the kind of game they wanted to make it, and they did, and they ultimately came away with the result. But that was on our accord on things that I believe that we're better than.
How'd you come through health-wise?
I think fairly okay.
Yeah.
Little typical bumps and bruises, but I think okay.
Your quarterback's okay after
he's okay.
taking a couple of headshots that weren't called?
Yeah.
I said that, not him. Yeah.
Can I follow up on that?
Go
Just
ahead.
on behalf
Yeah.
of Rams fans, not specific to yesterday's instance, but having seen every snap of his career as a Ram, maybe it's my Rams colored lenses, I don't feel like he gets the full protection in the pocket of someone of his stature as written in the rule book.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand it, but there were, I'm with you.
Suffice it to say that by the proper channels, the proper means, though, the Rams are lobbying on his behalf for those things to be enforced accordingly.
Course, absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
I try not to go nuts on the sideline, but it seemed like he got a little frustrated on the field. I mean, I guess it was a frustrating day for everybody. I mean, it's just one of those things where you want to score and you're not scoring, and you kind of wear that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was probably, you're talking about just in terms of, some disconnect between, the communication when some things went off schedule.
A little bit.
I mean, I think he's a competitor.
Yeah.
I think, and we had some uncharacteristic mistakes where guys weren't where they were supposed to be, and that was frustrating to a lot of people.
Was the protection issue against Montez Sweat one of those matters that you're talking about there that led to the strip sack?
Yeah, we didn't execute the techniques in that particular instance, and then there were, again, you guys know I don't get into too many specifics in regards, because it's about our football team moving forward. But we do have those things that are addressed in regards to the accountability that's required, whether it's myself or our players, for us to be able to ultimately be solution oriented and move the ball and score points and finish those drives. And there was a lot of moving the ball. There wasn't enough scoring points for us to be the caliber of offense that we need to be and that we want to be.
One more thing about finishing. I've heard it. It's been coached, but how do you teach a team to finish? How do they learn better to finish?
I think you stack consistent plays on top of one another. You don't go backwards. I mean, the first drive, we're moving the ball and it's first down, and a really good player gives up a sack that puts us 8 yards behind the sticks. When there's an opportunity for a big in break to come free that might lead to a possible big play. They're not having not having some of the things that inhibited our ability to continuously move the ball forward. And again, like I've always told you guys, I have a major responsibility in that. But you want to try to provide solutions, and then want to give the guys the best chance to be able to go execute and then be able to go get it done.
Defensively, in terms of coverage, is communication the biggest area right now that you're kind of circling for week-to-week improvement?
I think when there's been some issues, yes, and then playing with the techniques to avoid the penalties that have extended drives that are pretty egregious, that we just can't do. You're giving people an opportunity. We're getting home with a rush, and then you see those yellow flags on the back end, and it's all for naught. And so those are difficult jobs. There's different reasons why it's occurred, but the communication and then making sure that we understand the consequences if we don't play with the techniques that we want to be able to play with, in terms of what that does to extend drives, especially when you've earned the right to be in third and long situations, where it could be as simple as a contact penalty that's a 5-yarder, but what is it? Automatic first down. And so those are the things that's definitely been something that has not helped us.
You have to suck it up. I got more questions about Verse. He got 2 sacks called back, and he finally got the one, so 3 sacks to get 1. Do I feel bad? No, this is the pros. You're going to have to work yourself through this sometimes, but it didn't take any smoke off how he was playing.
Yeah, he's playing well. I think he's doing – his grade downs have been, excellent, where you feel his presence. He obviously has a motor and energy, a strength, a relentlessness that he plays with that we love, that was on display at Florida State. And then he'll continue to learn those opportunities, where are my chances to be able to play, disciplined, but still with that aggressive, controlled aggression, if you will. But he's a guy that I've been really pleased with, Jared Verse.
What about with Fiske? Was that a step in the right direction for the collective pass rush, converting some of those opportunities they've been creating?
I think there was. I thought we did a much better job of rushing with integrity, keeping Caleb in the pocket. That was one of the points of emphasis, and I don't think that was a reason why we weren't able to deliver. So there were some positive takeaways.
Going back to your offense for a minute, I have to give Chicago credit like you just did. I thought they did a great job playing the screen. They really did, redirecting, getting out. I mean, that was a huge part of the offense that wasn't there because of how they were pursuing. And the Rams, you guys did a great job on screens for the most part. So how do you play screens better this early in the season?
Yeah, I think how can we execute them better? Yeah, I think, those techniques again. I think it starts with the teaching, the clarity. I do think there are some things that it serves an intent, even if it might not, get the result in terms of opening, some different things up, if you will. But again, there's every screen is such a different entity. They did do a good job, but then there were some opportunities to say, man, there's a big play to be had there too, if we do the things that we're supposed to. But that's one of those things that you got to get guys comfortable. Every screen no screen is the same, but there is an element of a feel and a rapport that's established that we haven't gotten a lot of reps at.
You don't pause the tape and circle a guy, do you? That's what they used to do to us.
If you need to, you do.
It works, no doubt.
Can you feel Tutu's impact either on coverage contours or box counts these past couple of weeks with what he's put on tape?
I think he's done a good job. I mean, he certainly has made an impact. Had a couple big plays, had a couple big third downs last week against San Fran, and so Tutu has definitely impacted the game in a positive way the last couple weeks.
Guys getting down the field, man, really are. And Jordan Whittington, who knew, right? I mean, the guy can absolutely ball, tough guy in the middle of the field.
Did a good job. Yeah, he's strong, continuing to learn, and we'll expect him to continue to take steps.
In terms of roster management this week, we're past the 4-game mark, so guys that started the year on injured reserve like Larrell Murchison, Darius Williams, they have a chance to rejoin you this week?
They do. Yeah, we'll probably start their practice windows, JB, and then we'll see how they do.
Does the bye impact the calculus there at all in terms of getting them back for an urgent 1-3 situation versus giving them an extra week?
Not really. I mean, you always defer to the medical, but if these guys are ready to go and start practicing, let's start their clock and then see what that looks like as it relates to this week.
Trying to get bodies back, right? I mean, it's weird when you have to. You want guys to come back. Obviously, some of your best players, but you can't really worry about that. You have to worry about the guys that you have in uniform.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's. We'll be excited when those guys do come back and see what that looks like to bring them back into the fold. But in the meantime, we've got to continue to move forward. And, there's been some positives and there's been some challenging things that, I expect us to grow from.
I was going to ask, right? I saw Cooper Kupp. I'm like, is he getting closer? I guess he is getting closer every day.
He's getting closer.
Yeah.
This week won't be the week, though.
Okay.
Turning our attention to Green Bay, I was thinking about how they got a nice win against the Rams last year, kind of flipped their season around. Here's an opportunity to finally get them at your place, maybe do the same thing here in 2024.
Yeah, I mean, every week's a new week, and we've got to have a great week of preparation. This is a really good football team coming in, and they went wire to wire with the only team in the NFC that's undefeated. I guess the Seattle plays tonight, so. We'll see what happens with them in Detroit, but it'll be a great challenge. Matt's an excellent coach. They've got great players on all three phases, and so it's going to be a great challenge, and we've got to have a great week.
I thought he was going to say, right when he was done with us, he was going to get started on Green Bay, right?
Yep, that's right.
There you go. I mean, I know you can't wait to get back out there. I know. I mean, this is one that stings, but I mean, like your players, you've got to let it go and then move on, but it ain't easy to do.
Yeah, no, it's but it doesn't do you any good, right? So you have to apply the focus, the concentration, the frustration on the right stuff, and that's what we'll do.
Thanks for stopping by. We wish you a productive week of preparation. Looking forward to getting back to SoFi Stadium. It's Week 5. The Green Bay Packers are in town, final game before the bye. For Sean McVay, for D'Marco Farr, I'm JB Long. As always, the Coach McVay Show, presented by Microsoft Surface.